The home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Well, here we are. It's 2023. I hope y'all had a great New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Hope y'all celebrated properly and made it home okay. And today I'm going to start out my random thought of the day. I might start doing these more often. And they're not always sports inclined. It's just something that's on my mind. And I saw a video today on YouTube about Kirk Cameron. He used to be a star on Growing Pains back in the 1980s. He's a real Christian-like actor. And he's wrote some children's books that are Christian inclined. And he tried to have a Christian book reading at some of these libraries, and they blocked him. Now, I have no problem with people that don't adhere to Christianity. That's their choice. But it's not your choice to muffle people and to censor people. Because basically what you're doing is going back to the days of when white supremacists and far-right, over-the-top conservatives were censoring you guys on the left. Well, now y'all doing it. Y'all just as bad as those people back in the 60s, man. And the obvious thing about it is the libraries that he applied to do the reading that blocked him, they were readily advertising prior book readings from transgenders, transgender book readings for children. And it's just over the top, man. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? Y'all are okay with transgenders reading story time to 18-month-old kids up to 10 years old, and they're allowed to leave them there on their website. If you're over 10, you can leave them by themselves with transgenders. First of all, if you're a parent and you took your kid to that, I have serious doubts of whether you should be a parent. Okay? But that's okay. Y'all can have your views and be perverted all you want. You'll probably end up in jail one day doing something perverted. But that's your right to do that. But it's not your right, is you woke libraries out there, is to show preferential treatment and basically censoring Kirk Cameron and the Christians that want to do their book readings. He ended up getting approved for the Indianapolis Library and had record numbers for their 137-year history. Meanwhile, they still got on their web. They wouldn't even advertise him even after he done that for them. But on their website, they still got up the prior book readings of the transgenders like that was a great thing when probably only 70 or 80 people showed up. And that's the problem I have with transgenders and liberals now. It's not that I'm a Republican. It's not that I'm a conservative, because I'm not. I'm just a real American. I just want to do what's right because both parties are corrupt. But y'all making it real easy for a lot of people to turn on you by forcing your views. If you want to have your views, but don't force your views on people. You see, I don't agree with transgenderism. And this is really probably going to piss a lot of people off out there on the liberal side of things. But it's a made-up word. It's just something y'all made up. It's just something that gay people on both sides of the sexual orientation made up. You see, it's like if a female says she's a man, she's a transgender and she says she's a man, she's just a lesbian that wants to be a man so bad that she's got to grasp to something to try to force her way on people. It's like hopefully that'll get heterosexual women interested in her. Just like with the gay men. If you are a man and you declare yourself as a woman, you're still not a woman. You're just a man that wants to be a woman so badly because you feel like maybe there's not enough homosexual men out there, that maybe you declare yourself as a woman, a heterosexual man will for some reason decide that he likes you. And it's just not going to happen for y'all, man. Just go ahead and get rid of the word transgender and just say what it is. Y'all are homosexuals that can't find a mate. And quit forcing your views on people. You wouldn't like it if we come around censoring y'all and tell y'all couldn't talk about being gay. Or y'all lose your freaking noodle. But if we want to talk about Christianity and we're not even mentioning y'all want to try to censor people and stampede people down. And that shit's not right, man. I don't care how you cut it. And that's all I got on that rant. Now today, on the sports side of things, I want to talk about TCU and maybe them being the last chance for the rest of college football to fight off a Power 2, that being the Big Ten and the SEC. And we're going to talk about Mike Gundy, Mr. I'm a man, I guess he's 53 now. Basically, throwing another little temper tantrum and wetting his little diaper. Let's talk about it. That was a long lead up. And I apologize for that, but that's just something I had to get off my chest, something that was bothering me. Now, this is the OCF from the Outlaw of College Football. I'm also on Twitter at OCF Productions, and you can also hit me up on Facebook under Jesse Paul Clark, spelled Jesse without the I. Now, getting right into it here, we're going to start with TCU and their monumental upset of Michigan, because it was the first time that a Big 12 team had made it to the national championship game. You would have thought that first time would have ended up being Oklahoma or Texas. But TCU has taken the first step into making the Big 12 an elite Power 5 conference. There's talk that once Texas and Oklahoma leave the Big 12, that the Big 12 will slowly, maybe suddenly, but I think slowly slip into being a non-Power 5 conference, as well as some of the other conferences. A lot of the other fans out there and listeners that have been commenting on my channel about this topic somewhat have said that they think that eventually it's just going to be a Big 2. It's just going to be a Power 2. The Big 10, the SEC are basically going to start absorbing everything and shrink things down to maybe, 50 teams or something like that. Don't know if I buy that or not, but as far as curbing the Big Ten and the SEC from completely dominating college football going forward, I think that they could be right, that TCU is a shining light that could save the rest of college football from a Big Ten and SEC dominance. If TCU can pull off this upset of Georgia and win the national championship, not only will that be them doing that for the entire Big 12, what is that, like 14 teams now? When Texas and Oklahoma leave, it'll be what, 12? Not only for those 12 or 14 teams or 16 teams in the future, but also for the Pac-12 and the ACC. Those two conferences need for TCU to interject itself and the Big 12 in the championship picture. Now, Clemson's already done it twice, but Clemson's been the only shining light outside the Big 10 and the SEC that's really been able to do it. Now, Florida State did do it back in, I think it was, 2014, the BCS. So the ACC has been fighting it a little bit with one team at a time. But it seems like here lately, a lot of the talk has been that college football is going by the wayside as far as having a bunch of conferences, and it's going to come down to a Power 2, Power 3 maybe. But they seem to think that the Pac-12 is going to dissipate itself, and eventually the ACC as well. So the Big 12 may be the only other conference left that can stand up to the Big 10 and the SEC. And for them to do that going forward, TCU winning a national championship would help their conference and maybe even the other two conferences on a national scope as far as recruits saying, hey, there are other choices. You can come here and win a national championship. Now, you guys and gals, tell me what you think about all that. Do you think that if TCU can win this national championship, that'll maybe stave off a Big Ten and SEC takeover? Drop it in the comment section. Let me know. Now, the other topic I want to touch on is, I'm a man, I'm 53, 54, I'm a man, I'm a man. My name's Mike Gundy, and I'm a man. Even without my mullet, I'm a man. Mike Gundy got mad at a reporter and threatened to take his credentials because he questioned him on the fact that Oklahoma State's season took a nosedive. At the early part of the season, Oklahoma State was in the top 10. I think they got as high as 7th or 8th in the poll, and they looked like they might be on their way to being the TCU of the Big 12. And then they just like, now, I don't know. I haven't really investigated Oklahoma State's season as much as some of you guys out there and you gals out there. They may have had a lot of injuries that attributed to that or contributed to that. I don't know. You can let me know in the comment section. But the fact remains is they took a nosedive. And I ain't got the specifics in front of me, but I ain't mistaken. I think they started out 4-0 or 5-0 or something like that and ended up 7-6. So that's a valid question, Mikey boy. And I know another one of the soft topics for Mike, one that's really pushing his button and making him lose his noodle, is the fact that the transfer portal has basically robbed him. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but from what I understand, about 20 players maybe, 15, 20 players have left the team. More than that maybe. Could be 25. He's had a lot of players leave via the transfer portal. And from my understanding, it's one of the highest numbers in college football. And why is that, Mikey? Why is everybody leaving you, man? Because you're an insincere person, is my opinion. You're a guy that you'll try to act like you're going to stand up for what you believe in, but then when the liberal agenda or the left side of the media bucks you or threatens you, you buckle. And nobody appreciates that at all, man. When you had the OAN shirt on and you took it off for Chubba Hubba, just because he was whining and crying about that, and at the same time, he's over here marching with the BLM, which is a very hypocritical organization. It's a racist organization and sex trafficking organization. And yet you buckle to him? Just one player or players? You got to stand up for yourself, man. People can see it. People can see through you, man. That's the problem with a lot of these coaches, man, is they think they're talking to a bunch of people that are not as smart as them. Mike Gundy's one of those guys that always thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. And nobody's ever the smartest guy in the room all the time, Mikey. You got to learn that, man. And I think it really irked him that a few of those players that he lost went to the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, TCU is proving that the Big 12 may be able to survive without Texas and Oklahoma. TCU is. Oklahoma State's not proving that at all. Oklahoma State's proven that even when Oklahoma and Texas leave, you're just going to be somebody else's bitch after they leave. And excuse my language. I don't try to, like I said, I try not to cuss as much anymore. I'm trying to clean it up. But actually, the definition of bitch in this conversation is accurate, and it's not really a cuss word when it pertains to you, Mike, and your program, which is going downhill fast. When that Oklahoma and Texas leave, you're just going to be owned by TCU and Kansas State, and Baylor, and BYU, and Central Florida, and maybe even Cincinnati and Baylor to boot, and Texas Tech. But in summation, Mike, man, grow a set. If you're going to pump that chest and do that big bravado, man, then back it up at all times. And that's all I got to say about that. You guys and gals, tell me what you think about all this. Drop it in the comment section. Also, there's a heart down here. If you don't mind, hit that. Throw me a few dollars in the coffers. Get me off the YouTube teat. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.